And so back to this process of discernment in my experience in Peru at the center, I definitely discerned that something wasn't quite right. And, in retrospect, I don't even need to know why. In that experience, it was enlightening because I did end up learning why. But I think there are so many moments in life where we're just discerning something isn't right for us or is right for us. And for me, having started with discernment in my body is so helpful because our body is often a pendulum for us. It can tell us, what's right or wrong for us in the moment if we're able to tune into it. And there are a lot of, self-help, spiritual things. And I guess I will say, I wasn't going to include this, but part of my learning from the experience in Peru is that I do think that when you are on a spiritual path and you're passing through some dark nights of the soul to get there, and you're dealing with your trauma, and you're asking to up level, you're asking to really transcend some shit, but in order to do that, you have to move through it, and it can be fucking hard. And I think that oftentimes people who don't have our best interests can go to those portals, if you will, those places where people often pass through. And so a lot of people coming to do plant medicine are if that's a portal. Plant medicine is a portal to moving through that shit and coming out as a different person, and but all self-help, deep workshops that really get into the heart of things, they're all places, and there are great people that lead those. But there are also people that I think position themselves there, whether they consciously know it or not, because they can take energy, they can manipulate people when they are very vulnerable in those places. So what I think to be true in this moment, always open to change, is that part of up-leveling spiritually, as I'll name it in this moment, is that you are going to meet those people on that path, those people that don't have your best interests at heart, that are, energy vampires, etc., that want to take you when you're vulnerable and remold you so that you help them get more power. And that we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of that. Yeah. And so in the first couple episodes of this Teal documentary, they're just planting seeds around things that Teal does. In the first episode at the end, she talks about wanting to be super influential, and I was left feeling wow, she kind of has a lot of, my dog is digging in the dirt. She kind of has a little more ego than I would expect from, whatever that means, and it escalates when her former lover and best friend brings his partner, and then they get married, and it's very soap opera stuff. I'm like, wow, this is so soap opera. But it doesn't, they don't get along, surprise, surprise, even though it seems like they're gonna get along. It almost seems like Teal is sort of picking a fight with her. But as I said before, there's probably so much background to all of this that we're not seeing in the documentary. But it escalates to the point that at one point she says, if people really knew what, I think Juliana, her name is, did to us, they'd want her dead, speaking about her followers. And that was whoa. And I had a question of okay, either that's really intense, doesn't she know that she shouldn't say that when the cameras are on? Or if she doesn't realize that, what else is she saying when the cameras are off? And sometimes as humans, we just say shit like that it doesn't actually mean, we're thinking of murdering her. It's a euphemism. With my partner, he has a lot of feelings around cops, and he said to me, I think all cops should be shot. And I have a very visceral reaction to that, because to me it feels like you're just cops who hurt people are existing and when you wish them harm. So we have an ongoing fight about that. But just to say that, you know, my partner is a beautiful person and he's expressing anger in that moment, and that's how it comes out, and it's not the way that I would choose to release it. So holding all of that, but it was a little bit like, what's that about? And then there is what I found to be a quite revealing scene in the last episode that I watched, the 4th episode, where she gathers her close team after Blake leaves. And it comes out that she doesn't want any babies in the house. And very quickly, all of these followers agree not to have babies. Oh yeah, I don't want children anyway. And that was like, whoa, because I mean, I'm 39 and I've had tons of friends that didn't think they wanted kids and ended up having kids, or ended up getting pregnant and felt very strongly that there was a spirit that really wanted to come through and it was their job to be a parent, even though they hadn't expected that. I mean, just life is a beautiful roller coaster, you know, like you just don't know what's going to happen. And so to have everyone agree not to have children was quite like, okay, whoa. Yeah, so we'll see where the next episodes take us. I'll be watching, I'm curious. And I guess my final takeaway is just how hard it is sometimes, even when you are, from my observation, I'm not a spiritual leader, beyond maybe a few of my friends who are also spiritual leaders to me and we share thoughts. But when you're someone that is seen as a leader, but you're also human, and when your closest people hurt you, you know, things that it's hard to apply what you teach, right? And that's just this process of being human, is sometimes you can logically work out something, or even emotionally, like, oh, I'm having this emotion, can I work through it? You know, but when it's your experience, it's just harder. And even as great teachers, as great as teachers can be, they're still human and they still struggle. But it was disappointing that, you know, Teal couldn't see that, like, even people can love you so much and they can be so present in your lives, but people change, but it doesn't mean they don't love you anymore, right? It's like the type of people that every time they break up with someone, that person is dead to them, versus like, hey, we had this beautiful experience, this person will always be important to me, and our love has evolved and transitioned into something else. And it was strange to me that Teal couldn't find that in the documentary. Yeah, so holding lots of pieces here, and thanks for watching. I know this was a long video. Have a great one. Blessings.